Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jesus Unravel Day 5. All right, my name is Chisom and I'll be speaking on John chapter 5. All right, so John chapter 5 began with the account of the invalid man of 38 years that Jesus healed. So from that account, I'll be um, communicating with us on some things that I noticed about the heart and nature of Jesus. So the first thing I noticed is the compassionate nature and heart of Jesus. Jesus is indeed a very compassionate person. Why do I say so? Okay, number one, the invalid was in that situation because of his sin. You see it in verse 14, where Jesus said to him, "See, you're well again. Ensure you don't keep sinning. If not, something worse may happen to you." So, regardless of the fact that this man was in the situation he was due to sin, Jesus still went ahead to heal him. His compassion towards the man moved him to heal him. That's the first reason. Then the second reason why I said Jesus is compassionate is the fact that the invalid man didn't even ask Jesus to heal him, as the Bible records that the invalid man didn't know who healed him. So Jesus healed him out of compassion. See that the invalid man didn't even know Jesus. The invalid man didn't ask Jesus to heal him, but Jesus, out of his compassion, went ahead to heal the man. And the third reason why I said Jesus is compassionate is the fact that Jesus risked being persecuted by the Jewish leaders and went ahead to heal the man, because the day he healed the man was a Sabbath, and according to the Jews, it was wrong to heal on that day. But regardless of that fact, Jesus went ahead and healed the man. Now, another thing I would like to point out in that particular account is the healing power of Jesus, which worked that great miracle of healing an invalid man of 38 years. So, the mighty power, healing power of Jesus is still even at work upon the face of the earth. So, I don't know whatever sickness or disease you might be going through, Jesus still heals. Jesus is still in the act and in the work of healing people. So don't give up. There is still hope. Now, another thing I want to point out in that chapter 5, is the fact that regardless of the fact that Jesus was God, he acknowledged his total dependency on God. Now, we see that in verse 19, when Jesus said he could do nothing by himself. For this particular point, I'll address it directly to fellow Christians like myself. If Jesus, who was God, depended 100% on God to do everything, how much more me and you, who are mere human, how much more should we actually depend on God? Do we actually depend on God like Jesus did to do any and everything? Talk more of our purpose and assignment on earth. So this is an awakening for us to check our lives. If there's any area that we are still self-dependent, we need to make adjustments and begin to depend 100% on God. Okay? Having said that, another point is the fact that Jesus never sought to glorify or please himself, but God alone. Jesus, who was God, never sought to please himself while he was on earth. All he did was just towards pleasing God the Father. Again, I ask, if Jesus, who was God, never sought, even for a moment, to please or glorify himself while he was on earth, how much more me and you should we do everything to the glory of the Father, to the glory of God in heaven? This is another call for us to check our lives and begin to make amends in any and every area that we are still trying to share God's glory with him, that we're still trying to please ourselves instead of God. And so finally, I would like to talk about the fact that Jesus had a sent mentality. Okay, what does it mean to have a sent mentality? Jesus understood that he was sent by God to come to the earth. That means he didn't come by his own decision, but he came because God the Father sent him. And that understanding made him to remain focused all through his ministry, all through his time on earth, regardless of the oppositions and the persecutions that came against him and his ministry. He was never moved, neither was his eyes taken off the ball. He knew what he was sent to do on earth, and he focused on it 100% until he fulfilled it. And that's because he understood that he was going to give account to the one who sent him. So he couldn't give any chance to, fall into the trap of the Jewish leaders and every other people that stood against his ministry. So Just as Jesus was sent by God, Jesus has also sent me and you to continue the work that he did on earth. And if we are going to do this work effectively, we must also carry this same mentality that Jesus walked with while on earth. If not, every breeze that blows will move us to the left and to the right. And then we just get distracted and miss out on all that God has planned for us, and we will not be able to fulfill our purpose. So just like Jesus had that same mentality, just as Jesus understood why he was on earth, just as he understood that what at the end of his ministry, he was going to give an account to God. That's the same way we should walk with this consciousness that in everything we are doing, we are going to give an account to God. In everything we are doing, we must understand and remember that we are going to give account to God the Father who has sent us. So we must keep our eyes on the ball. Praise the Lord. I hope we were blessed. Thank you.